All right, so what is Chiari exactly?
So Chiari is a brain condition. At the base of the skull, right, your skull, there's an opening about that big, so called the foramen magnum, which means big hole. And that's where the spinal cord comes out. And spinal cord, as you know, is the connection between your brain and the rest of the body. So Chiari, the back part of the brain called the cerebellum, it kind of hangs down into that opening and plugs things up. And that sometimes causes problems.
Like what problems?
Well, it can cause headaches, but usually it's a particular type of headache where if you cough or sneeze, you get a really sharp pain right at the back of the neck or base of the skull. Okay. It can cause some other problems too, like it can cause problems with your breathing when you're sleeping. It can make you snore. It can cause problems with the way your spinal cord works too, right? So remember, spinal cord is your connection between the brain and the rest of the body, so it can cause things like tingling in your hands or problems with your ability to move your arms or your legs.
So if you were a patient with Chiari, how would you treat this?
Well, it turns out most people that have Chiari, and remember, Chiari just means a little bit of brain hanging down through that opening. Right? Most people who have Chiari don't have any symptoms, don't have any problems. You don't have to treat it at all. It's not causing any issues. In that few small percentage of people that do have problems, the treatment is with a surgery. And the surgeon will go in and actually make that opening a little bit bigger. Right? It's called a decompression, so it's making more space.
But what would happen if your brain could your brain just become bigger again?
Well, that's an interesting question. The brain doesn't really get much bigger. Your brain is pretty much full grown by the time you're about 3 years old. So it's unlikely for your brain to get bigger. And in fact, sometimes as you grow, as you get older, the back part of the brain, if it's hanging down there, it actually kind of slowly comes up a little bit. So if you measure the position of the back part of your brain when you're 5 years old, and then you measure it again when you're 10 or 15, you may actually see that it's actually gotten a little bit better. So sometimes Chiari can even get better on its own.
So if you have severe Chiari, are there any things that you can't do?
Well, that's kind of a controversial topic. Some doctors will recommend that people with a severe Chiari don't do things like play football or jump on trampolines or do things that might put you at risk for injury. Others really don't think that those things are all that high of a risk. What we know is that maybe your risk is a little bit higher for a bad injury if you have a Chiari, but we don't know how much higher that risk is. So that's something that you would have to talk about with your doctor.
So you would you recommend we be safe, or are we allowed to do?
Well, so my recommendation would be that you make sure to wear a helmet when you're on anything with wheels, bicycle, skateboard, etc. Wear your seatbelt when you're in the car, but those are all standard precautions that we recommend for every kid. A question about something like, can I play football? That's more of a discussion that you'd have to have with your doctor. Right? You can't make that call for everybody.